And over here in this lane, he doesn't have anybody telling him what he can or cannot say. No way this happened without Rupert's blessing.
What's up, you all? Welcome back. I'm Van, and we are all the LFR family. Thank y'all so much for click and play. Hopefully you click that like button as well. And later on, go to lfrfamily.com, ask me about the Bang Bang Tea. Now, something that's just been happening, like y'all heard about Tucker Carlson leaving Fox News, right? Well, I've been checking out many other people's perspectives of what was going on, and I'm trying to actually go to the horse's mouth and see what's going on. But as you can very well see, there's no news on it coming from Fox. I went to Fox and I wanted to hear the news coming directly from Fox, because obviously they're reporting about a bunch of things. As you can very well see, they're reporting about a bunch of things, and I can't get it from them. So I'm going to go to where it's popping right now. This lady is giving out all of the news, and her numbers are going crazy. And she used to be an anchor over at Fox, and her name is Megyn Kelly, and she's talking about it relentlessly. And so is Glenn Beck. So are other people who are not on Fox. So let's check it out and see what she has to say. Now she's, I believe she's talking to someone by the name of Steve.
You see him clearly too. You've been on his show. You like him. Your reaction to this news, Steve?
Well, it's shocking. I was saying to someone earlier, and I have to say my text messages and direct messages are on fire right now. It's very rare these days in the media world for something to happen and to be a total shock. People get hired and fired, and companies like BuzzFeed News just completely get shut down. And
I love that. No BS, no agenda, no fear. I love that.
It's not really shocking. I mean, it's surprising, but it's not shocking. This news this morning is a total shock, I have to say. To me, perhaps other people saw it coming in some way, but I have not seen that in any capacity. And as we saw from the clip to end the show on Friday night, I don't think Tucker necessarily anticipated that this would go this way. So I do find it shocking. Look, I've known Tucker for a long time. I first interviewed him in 2008, was the very first time I spoke with him, met him around that time. I've interviewed him probably 5 or 6 times since then, and maintained a relationship with him. I've been critical of him in Fourth Watch and other places when I feel like it's warranted. But more often than not, I don't. I think it's one of the best shows that's critical, on cable news. Yeah. And I think he's someone that is totally unique in the marketplace. I've described him, Joe Rogan, and you as essentially the 3 most interesting people in the media. And I think that maintains. And I think whatever happens next, we don't know exactly what went down. And I think I'm hearing 3 different things as potentials, but whatever happens next, he will maintain a space in the media. And I think it'll be very interesting.
Hey, Megyn, one of my supporters, Lisa Marie, says she loves your hair. She's jelly. Just want you to know that.
This will be good for Tucker. This is going to be great for Tucker. I'm not worried about Tucker at all. I predict Tucker goes independent. Tucker launches a podcast or digital show and crushes it, absolutely crushes it. I've thought many times, if I came directly to podcast from my primetime show in Fox, I mean, it was a different landscape back then, just in 2017. But that would have been the best way to set myself up in the digital world, because you take your audience with you immediately. People weren't really doing that back then. But if he does that now, he's going to be better off than he was at Fox. Tucker was in the primetime at Fox News in the post-Roger Ailes era, where they weren't paying the stars what they were paying back in the day. Rachel Maddow was reportedly making $30 million a year. Trust me, that's not what they were paying Tucker Carlson.
Whoa, Rachel Longneck Maddow was making $30 million? Holy crap. Why? You know what? Never mind. I cannot take away from somebody else's blessing. She was being paid what she was being paid because she was providing the type of service to MSNBC the way that she was supposed to, or CNN, whoever she was working for. It was good for business for them, and they broke her off a portion of it. So, you know what? Never mind.
And he can make huge money in the independent lane as long as he has a fan base, which he clearly does. And over here in this lane, he doesn't have anybody telling him what he can or cannot say.
Now, whoa. Come on, Megyn. You know that's not right. There's certain things that you can and cannot say. Come on. We done seen Steven Crowder be shut down a couple of times for going a little too far, putting too many toes over that line. You put too many toes over that line, and I think Steven Crowder has put like 8. He put a whole ankle and a half over the line. Nah. So it's some things you can't say. And if you haven't found that out yet, you will.
Right. Yeah. Look, we had Alex Berenson on a few days ago, Alex Berenson does great work. He has a Substack, but Alex Berenson is obviously not Tucker Carlson. But Alex Berenson, if you read the reports, is making millions of dollars a year on his Substack. That is where the landscape is these days. If you have a differentiating factor, and again, all due respect to Alex, he's nowhere in the league of Tucker Carlson. So yes, I think the closest analogy would be like Glenn Beck, who left at the height of his time at Fox and started The Blaze, and was originally called GBTV, and as has been reported, got about a couple 100,000 subscribers to pay $100 a year, and very quickly became a giant business. That was beyond Glenn. He started a whole company that has maintained to this day. But that's the closest analogy to someone leaving at the absolute height. And even Glenn wasn't at the height, I would say, that Tucker is in the traditional media space. Obviously, Tucker's doing documentaries and long form interviews on Fox Nation as well. So he's got all of these various things in the works. And for it to be a shock, I mean, I'm getting text messages from people who I would say are in the know in the business, and they're just like emojis, just like the shock face emoji. I mean, no one saw this coming. And I would just throw out there, Megyn, I think there are three camps that I'm hearing from right now. One is this some sort of way of pushing them out related to Dominion, related to another lawsuit that's going on? I would be shocked, but that's obviously one point of view out there. Is this Tucker being told to do something or not do something and saying no, and in fact, I'm going to leave because of that? That's certainly a possibility. And then, of course, there's the speculation about politics, which I also do not think is true, but I've seen that as well. I don't believe
that one. Okay, let's talk about those. We'll take them in reverse order. Yes, somebody I think, was it Stephen L. Miller, tweeted out he's running. Now, he may have been joking. I don't know. Stephen L. Miller is very funny.
I said that too. I said he's running for president probably. He probably throw his hat in the ring, but he don't want to mess things up for someone else. Give him like 4 years. He might run next time.
So it could have been a tongue-in-cheek, he's running. But a lot of people think he's going to run for office. I don't think so. I just don't think so. Tucker's got way more influence sitting behind a microphone than he does standing on a debate stage. So who knows? But I've never heard him say he wants to do that. I'm not like one of his besties, but we're friends. The lawsuit. So we've talked about the Dominion lawsuit on this show many times. And we're not going to bore the audience by going back over it. But the highlight on Dominion is Tucker, while he had a couple of texts behind the scenes, which weren't helpful, his texts paled in comparison to those of the executives, their texts and their deposition testimonies. And Tucker's the one who went out on the air and said, Sidney Powell is bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
So the Dominion thing doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And for a couple of reasons, like you said, there's that. Also, if you want to say that there was something that came out of the Dominion, texts that was embarrassing to Tucker and Fox, it was probably that he really was pretty critical of Donald Trump in a lot of ways. And yet Donald Trump sat down and did the long form interview with Tucker very recently. And so it seems like everything is squashed. In fact, I just listened to Trump on the Full Send podcast over the weekend, and he was again praising Tucker. This was a very recent interview. So I think that whatever bad blood there might have been there is squashed as well. So
and Fox is anti-Trump these days anyway. So like they wouldn't be holding that against Tucker. But
no.
The word.
And I wonder why they are. Can someone tell me, please, why Fox is anti-Trump nowadays? What's going on with that? I think I have my reasons. I think the fact that he's pro-vax, I think that they have an issue with that. Or he's upset some of their partners who they don't want to, like he says some things about Disney, and he's not the type of person that you can just put in a box and just make him shut up when it comes to certain topics. But I thought Fox liked that. I thought Fox enjoyed that type of, be a truther, say whatever's on your mind. It's wild when it comes to business, man. When it comes to financing and you allow the wrong people into your bed, now you got to live with it.
Worst thing I saw on Tucker's watch during the Dominion lawsuit was there was a internal text that they had to produce in the lawsuit where he was mad about some reporter, straight news reporter, I think it was Jackie Henrich, fact-checking Trump claims about Dominion that it aired on Hannity. And he said something like she should be fired, which was not good. But you and I discussed that too. I'm not going to excuse the text, but I understand it wasn't, oh my God, she offered facts on Fox and should be fired. There's a hard rule at Fox News that you don't shoot inside the tent. And this was her going on and fact-checking Hannity, essentially.
Yes.
Okay, so BlackRock is against Trump, and BlackRock owns Dominion. Well, wouldn't that make them, I thought enemy of my enemy is a friend. So if Trump is an enemy of BlackRock or Dominion, well, so is Fox. So they should be friends with Trump. I don't get that. Like, it's confusing the hell out of
Yeah,
me.
You'd have to clear that with management before you did it as a straight news reporter at Fox News.
Of course. Why should you do it as a straight news reporter? That's fact checking Sean Hannity. I mean, that does seem like it makes. There's two things about that of course most of the media ignore. Yes, exactly like you said, it was actually about Sean Hannity, not just about Donald Trump. And Jackie Heinrich is still there, still right there in the White House briefing room every day. She's only been promoted since then, so that's not like there is some, like they've been critical of some of the texts, not from Tucker but from others, about Chris Stirewalt and Bill Salmon, and then what ended up leading to their departure. Jackie Heinrich still remains there. So that had no effect. So, and
the other thing is, look at the Suzanne Scott texts talking about how other reporters like Jillian, I can't remember their names, forgive me. A lot of these people came up to Rise after I left, and I don't watch cable news anymore. But saying like she needs to be reined in. She doesn't understand what our audience wants. That was from the CEO of the company. So is Suzanne Scott getting fired? Because that's really my. We'll get to them, the others, after we finish this Tucker analysis. So I don't believe Dominion was behind the Dominion settlement. I just don't believe it, especially because Rupert made enough admissions during his deposition to sink the company at the trial without any help from Tucker. So I don't believe Dominion. I don't believe he's running.
We're throwing this out in real time, Megyn. Let me just throw this at you because I got this from someone. Is there a chance that buried in the settlement is we need some scalps? And that's what Dominion did in order to not have this go to trial. And that may have been
why would they want Tucker's scalp? They would want Maria's scalp. They would want Janine Pirro's scalp. They would want Suzanne Scott's scalp. Tucker, I mean, yes, there were a couple of comments, and the left all hates Tucker, but I just can't imagine a world in which Rupert and Lachlan bow to that kind of pressure.
I agree.
But I could be wrong because there's no way this happened without Rupert's blessing.
I think that removing the person that's bringing in the most views and the most viewership and whatnot is definitely, look, agree to pay us this amount and agree to get rid of your biggest fish and we'll leave you alone. Whoa. And they was like, oh my goodness. All we got to do is agree to get rid of our biggest fish, which is Tucker. And if they agree to that, then they're no longer being messed with. So, wow. I don't know, man. All of this is speculation. It's like talking sports. Nobody really knows what's going on. And y'all just now saw, I tried to go to Fox. I tried to go straight to Fox, see what they're talking about. They're not talking about it. They're whispering about it. They're having private meetings about it. They're not putting anything over the airways about it. And they say that we're moving on to bigger news. Well, this is bigger news because this right here talks about Fox as a whole. Why did Fox let go their biggest fish? And why is Fox now beholding to these other companies like Dominion and the other company that's suing them for $2.6 billion? Come on, man. I got questions. I'm sorry. And I won't have the same belief in Fox being the truth of media, of news media, if all of this is going on and they are so hush-hush about it. I can't do that. I can't. Maybe you can because you've been checking them out for a very long time. I can't.
No way. So he clearly did sign off on losing him. Which again just makes absolutely no sense to me. So let's talk about the other lawsuit. And I'm going to get reaction. It's pouring in now. The nightmares over at The View. We'll get to them. But the other lawsuit that you mentioned, Abby Grossberg, is that her name?
That's one. All
right. So I've seen the speculation, as you have as well, that her lawsuit may have had something to do with this. I reject this fully, but let's talk about what the speculation is. She worked for Tucker and she also worked for Maria. She was a producer who had to turn over her documents and emails and so on during the Dominion lawsuit. She had been making recordings of some of her discussions, i.e. with Maria and Giuliani, that she had on a phone. We also reported this last week or whenever it came out, that she then went to the lawyers of Fox and said, you need to produce this in the context of the Dominion lawsuit. It's responsive. It's a dead phone, but it has recordings on it. And she says they didn't. They let it lie. And then she quit. She sued Fox and said, you tried to manipulate my testimony before I went into deposition. You kind of strong-armed me into lying to help you. I feel disgusting about the whole thing. Oh, and by the way, here's this phone that's got recordings that are relevant that you didn't turn over. So that's the worst way as a lawyer for Fox to find out that there are recordings of your people that are responsive, but that appears to be what happened. The judge was mad. The judge sanctioned Fox News right before they settled. And this woman's still suing Fox News, claiming that all that happened and also alleging things like the C word was regularly bandied about in the news pod and on Tucker's team. Look, I can tell you this. And two of the women who work for me at Fox News work for me right now. My like two main producers, Canadian Debbie and Kelly McGuire. They're both with me now. And they could be fact witnesses on this. When shit went down, Roger Ailes got fired. I met with my entire team at the Kelly File and I said, what you're reading in the paper is true. I spoke with Lachlan and I spoke with the investigators and I told the truth about what happened to me years ago. But if this place were some disgusting, misogynistic hellhole, I would not have stayed here. And the narrative people are running with about Fox News and our colleagues, because they're enjoying so much this news, they're false. Those narratives are lies. This is not a disgusting place to work where people are regularly talking about women like that and regularly dumping all over women. Yes, it's happening. And it happened at the very highest levels. But I told them that.
Yo, this is some juicy sugar honey iced tea. I don't know about y'all. I've never been this locked into news and what's going on with news and whatnot, but this is some good stuff. This is the type of stuff that you see on Netflix series right here. This right here, what we're watching right now, is the type of stuff that you see when people sit down and they think about how can we draw up some drama? How can we really draw up some drama that's believable? We got the key pieces on both sides. This right here is it. This is it. Playing out in real time. Nuts, right?
And I have a very hard time imagining that post Roger Ailes, post, my stint in the tenure, Fox took such a hard turn back that they're running around like she's a C and she's a C and that one's a C in the news pods, which are small and everyone can hear. They're out in the newsroom. I don't believe it. I don't believe that. And I certainly don't believe they would fire Tucker over that allegation.
Fire Tucker for saying that he can't understand normal thinking? Is that what they're saying? Fire Tucker for saying, see you next Thursday? Was that something that him and his crew like to say all the time? That person can't understand normal thinking. That person, see you next Thursday.